So the child element of a flex container automatically becomes a flex item, and the following properties can be applied to them. So one of the properties you can apply to them is the flex grow. This is used to control how much an element should grow if there are extra space, e.g. So let's look at an example. So I'll have to comment this out. Yeah, sorry. So let's save this. So permit me to comment this out. So let's look at an example. So this time around I'll use a div class container. So another div is class item. Hello world. So let's go into style sheet. Let's start it. So we have dot container. So we have a border 1px solid blue, display flex. Dot item. We have background. Let's give the background of yellow. Heights of 50 pixels. So let's give the margin of 3 pixels. Let's give the padding also 3 pixels. So flex grow. So I have flex grow of 0. Can you see? So since the flex grow, you can see within the container now, we said the flex should not grow. We should maintain it. It should not grow to occupy the remaining space. And because we've set the grow to 0, it can't occupy, and that's the default. So once we change the grow property, let's set it to 1 to occupy the remaining space. You can see immediately I set it to 1, it grows to occupy the remaining space, and it can accept any value from a 0 to any positive number. So we also have flex shrink. So for the flex shrink, let's look at another example for the flex shrink. So let's call this flex grow. So let me comment this out. So let's look at another example. So for this we have a UL. So let me specify what this is meant for. So this is what flex grow. Flex shrink. So I have a UL. Let's close the URL tag. So I have li times 4. So now this be hello world. Into let's see. So let's start it. So let's save this before we start it. Let's save this. So have our UL display flex list out tab. So let's give same border on px solid blue, padding 0. For the allies, we have width 2 pixel, background height. Now margin. So let's select the third li item. So let's the third list item and child 3. So we said we don't want it to shrink. Let's shrink 0. Let's comment this out. Let's see the effect again. Let's uncomment again. Let's see the difference. So the third item here won't shrink compared to the other element because its shrink has been turned off, and the remaining element have their shrink turned on by default. Their value is set to 1. So here, by turning the third element to, let's check that again. Mean height, width. So let's set it to 1. 1 is the default value. Okay, let's look at the next example, flex basis. So this is used to set the initial size of a flex item. The default value is auto, and you can also accept the previous value of measurements we have mentioned, such as rem, pixel, percentage. So for example, we can set it as such. So let's remove this. So hello world is the first program written by most programmers. So let's come here, let's start that. So I have dot container, border, objects, display. Yes. Dot item, background, yellow, heights, px, margin, 3px, padding, 3px, Flexbox. So flex auto. Can you see? So auto, we said auto is the default. So by setting it to auto, it extends its size to accommodate its content. But if we change the flex basis to say 120 pixels, this will be the new size, and the content will wrap inside the box because the size is now fixed. So auto allows it to stretch to accommodate its content. So let's say we change it to 120 pixels now. You can see it wraps within it. Let's increase it a bit. Let's say 200. You can see. But immediately we say auto, flex basis auto, it immediately grows to accommodate the content. So the next property we'll look at now is flex. So flex is the shorthand for flex grow, shrink, and flex basis. So let's take one of our previous example. So let's use this same same example. So in this example, rather than writing flex basis, so what I will do now is just write flex. So by writing flex, the first thing that comes is the grow property, which is we want to set it to 0. The next one is the shrink. That means we'll set it to 1. The default value for shrink is also 0. By setting it to 1 means that you don't want it to shrink. So auto now is the default value for the flex basis. That means you want it to accommodate the content. So the first value 0 represents the grow property, flex grow, which is set to 0 meaning don't grow. The second one is flex shrink and set to 1 meaning shrink. And the last one is flex basis, which is set to auto, meaning let your size be based on your content. Let the size of the item be, let it stretch to accommodate its content. So that's what it does. So when we set the value to 1, it means shrink. That means the item should shrink. So when we set it to 0, it means that the item should not shrink. So there's one more. Let's look at one more thing, which is the order. The order. So this is used to change position of flex item. So let's go back to one of the previous examples we have here. We have let me comment out the example for the flex basis here. So let's go to the one we use for flex shrink. Yeah. So let's see this. So let's comment out this. So let's share this. So with this we can target the third element here. Let's say end child 3, and say we want to give it order of 1. So what that does is it takes it to the top of the list. Can you see? Change the position. So normally in the HTML element, the CSS is the last item there. By giving it order of 1, it brings it. Okay, so let's check one of the styles here. Flex, display flex, this type none. So order 1 means that it's meant number 1. So let's save. Let's try other 2. So order 1. So let's comment out the side. Let's see the initial effect. You can see. So by adding order to it, change the position. So that means we move it a step forward. So with that particular item being the last, you can see. So when we select the first item, move it to the back. So let's look at the second item, which is word. Move it to the beginning of the list. Then let's move the third item, instincts. Move it to the beginning of the list. So the fourth item is always at the beginning already. So it changes the order of flex item we have. So the next thing, align self. This is used to position or align elements, flex item within flex container, and it has set properties such as auto, flex start, flex end, center, baseline, stretch. So we could use, let's comment this out. Let's use the example. So let me just copy it. So for this example, let me just give it a width. 600 pixels. Height 250 pixels. So let me select divs. The end child 2. Align self, center. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so let's uncomment. Let's uncomment this. So for the div, that's the background. Yellow. Flex. So we shorten for our flex property. 1 wants to grow, 0 we want it to shrink, 50 pixel. Okay, so let me add more properties to this. Let's say div div So can you see? So let's remove this align self center. Let's see the initial position of the item. Can you see? So it took the second item, then position it across along the cross axis at the center. So we can decide to do the same thing for the third child by saying third, Control X. You can see, so position it at the center. So we can also decide it's okay, wants to be at the flex end.